Peace. What's the science, universal family? On another glorious day of the science of living mathematics. How you guys doing today? And what is today's mathematics? Can you guys tell me what today's mathematics is? If you guys said wisdom, then you guys are correct because it is the second of the month. And what is your second letter in the alphabet? I should know this. B. B in the supreme alphabet stands for be or born. Now let's break this down. Now, I will address this to the new viewers, because those that have been following already pretty much have an idea of what wisdom is. All right, wisdom is experience. Wisdom is your action. It is knowledge put into motion. Right? It is symbolic to the woman. Right? Symbolic to ways and actions. Symbolic to the moon. Symbolic to the earth, emotion. Right? So how do we break this down? Wisdom. It's where you get the wise dome. Or separate the wise from the dumb. Either or. Right? Because it comes from experience. And in Spanish, wisdom is sabiduría. And duro is hard. Things that you go through. You know, things that you go through in life can be very difficult. And this is how you gain that experience. This is why we must always cherish our elders, because they have so much wisdom. You know, we can't sit there and think that we know more than them, that we have more experience than them. This is why when you see the elders sit in the park and just with a big smile on the face, just feeding the birds, because they just know how to just enjoy themselves. You understand what I'm saying? And versus us, we're just trying to move too much, do too much, because we feel like we don't have enough time. When you realize you make time, right? Because you have to also be aware how much time you're wasting. So, how do you say that wisdom is symbolic to woman, Rock? How do you see that, Rock Shine? Explain that. Well, wisdom has ways and actions. It is the embodiment of a woman, her ways, her actions, how we all say one day she's nice and sunny out, the next day could be thunder and lightning. You know, to me, how I see it, women always embody emotion. Everything that they do is always attached with an emotion. And what I mean by that, I say more potent than, let's say, than men per se, right? Because a woman knows how to be flexible in the sense of adapting and changing, so much so that when you view a woman in a relationship and she's happy, you can see it. When a woman is pregnant, you can see the glow. You can see this, just like the golden glow from Bruce Leroy. You see it from The Last Dragon. But when she's in an unhealthy relationship, you can see it. And no matter how much she tries to cover it with makeup and whatnot, you can see it. You see, and this is, to me, a quality. And this is not something to bash women. This is something beautiful. Something divine, to be able to take the shape of anything that is being thrown at her. You know, picture water, and you have any type of shape of cup, and water can change the shape to fit that mold. right? And this is how women are: adaptable, swift, and changeable. And it's something great versus us that we tend to be more firm in our ways and everything else. And we need that balance. This is why this whole separation between men and women, oh, men don't need women or women don't need men, this whole new feminism movement that men are not required. This is false. We complement each other, and it's something that we should be working together towards, right? Because the woman is the bridge to that understanding. She's the bridge to the best part, and people always get it twisted as women is secondary, but forget the most important part, that they're most necessary. You're not doing nothing with that determined idea, with that knowledge, with yourself, if you don't have the bridge to the best part, which is the woman, the child. You understand? She's the bridge. That child is the best part. You understand? So we can't sit here and separate women and put them as lesser than, because they're not. They are our counterparts. We just have different roles in the things that we do, and no role is greater than the other. Through society and the years and the corruption, it has become like that. But when you really look at the fundamentals, it's divine. You know what I'm saying? And with that, breaking it down to ways and actions in your words. Yesterday we spoke about knowledge and just to sometimes be quiet and do the knowledge. But today we're going to talk about using your voice, getting things done. Are you just going to be? Are you going to get to born? You understand? Be means to exist. Doesn't mean you're doing anything other than just keeping yourself alive. You're not progressing forward, right? Just letting things be. Or you can complete your journey, complete what you're doing, make it born. You understand? And for the women, use your voice. Because we know in today's time still, I say women are underrepresented. And you guys have the power to speak. And always speak. Don't ever let anybody stop you from speaking your mind and expressing your true ways and actions of who you are as a woman. Because woman's stake that I've seen growing up is, as teenagers, it would come to a point where we're striving to understand females, and females are striving to understand us males. And as a man, I can only understand you from a man's perspective, and vice versa. As a woman, you can only understand us from a woman's perspective. And this is where, the arguments start, the difference of opinions. And you have to get to a point where you can just realize we vibrate at different frequencies, per se. Or our polarities are different. We're opposites of each other. And this is not a bad thing. This is a good thing, because in the realm of the physical, opposites attract. And it's only in the realm of the mind where alike attract. You get where I'm going with this. And for those fellas out there, please stop limiting the voice of your woman. There's nothing stronger than a woman with self-expression. A woman that can truly express what she wants, a strong woman. All right? Because you got to think about it. If you're striving to build a family, why would you want a weak, limited woman? Right? Why would you want to limit your woman? When you're not there, she's the one that's going to be teaching the babies. So why not have a very powerful woman? And if you are a powerful sun that's striving to build a strong solar system, wouldn't you want a strong planet that can withstand the light and heat that you provide? You understand? Women are very powerful. And throughout the centuries, weak and wicked men have strived to limit them because of their own insecurities that they have. And it's nothing more attractive than seeing a woman shine when she's doing what she loves. You know, and that's something that I always look forward to. Just seeing what she does and what she does best. Whatever that is, whatever she wants to do, don't be afraid because your woman might make more money than you. Well, that doesn't compute to me. And I cannot relate to that because I don't have that issue. To me, I look at it as a single unit. We become a single unit. If we cannot be a single unit, then we must part ways. Because yes, you have separate components in the solar system, but a solar system is a single unit. And that's what we need to be able to make things born and not just be. All right? And we have to look at these qualities and not forget the ways and actions. And this is not just only for women too, but for men. Don't be afraid to speak your mind. You know, I hear a lot of happy wife, happy life, and we have this conversation a lot. Many men, we always have this conversation, or you see it where you go into the mall and you know how women last 10 hours at the mall and come out with a bag, then return it, and at the end of the day don't come out with nothing, whatever it is. All these different topics that it's always put out there for fun, and you know, it's just like you're sitting there and you look at another man waiting for his wife to come out of the store, and it's just like you nod your head and understand. It's like, yo, me too. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I'm just bringing that just to make, you know, to make light of the situation. But men have to be able to speak their mind as well, not just it's whatever she wants, because as long as she's happy, then I'm happy, or whatever it is. But then what's happening is you're dying inside, and sometimes we gotta just breathe. That breath before we speak is important. The self-expression, right? Because what is the purpose of just being in a relationship if you're not gonna take it to born something out of that? And I'm not talking about just having children. I'm talking about the goals. Yes, and sometimes you might have different goals. They might arise different goals, or your goals ultimately was never the same. And you realize that down the line, and that's okay. But you have to be able to speak your mind. You have the right to say what you feel and what is it that you want. Let's say in a relationship or a job or anything. This is what I'm looking for, and I'm not going to settle for less, but always be realistic with said goals. What I see a lot is you got super unhealthy dudes that don't work out at all, but yet they want these females with, you know, Wonder Woman physique and power, and they go to the gym and all that type of stuff. And it's just like, you have to hold yourself accountable to the same criterias that you holding those that you're attracted to. You know what I'm saying? So if you want this, that, and the third, do you meet those same goals? Because don't put unrealistic goals that you yourself cannot meet, but then you expect your other partner to do that, and vice versa too. You know what I'm saying? This applies to both men and women. Don't sit there and expect your partner to be something that you yourself cannot even achieve. right? And if it's something that you're working towards, then so be it, right? This is where you have to, the wise comes in and the wisdom. You have to be able to sit back and make moves. It's important that we are actionary instead of reactionary, not always waiting for an input so we can react to it. We have to remember, our thoughts into action, not reaction. So with that being said, look at how wisdom is, right? It's the ways and actions. This is water. It's the flow, the ebb and flow of things. And it's constant micro calculations to adjust trajectory, speed of the flow, how much flow is coming out, per se, even in electricity and anything. And it's just something that we do constantly in our heads, but it's so natural to us that we don't even see it. And sometimes we have to sit back and really start looking at these things and how we calculate the moves that we're going to make. You know, doing things to get a reaction out of people. I've never been a fan of that, you know, and I know nowadays you got a lot of celebrities, you know, who do things for a reaction, whether it's a positive reaction or negative reaction, either or way. And I don't like it because young kids do that. Kids that need attention do that, that seek attention will do that. You know, I got 10 years as a mentor, a therapeutic mentor. And one thing I'm familiar with is when parents don't focus any attention to their child or children, they will purposely misbehave in school or anywhere to get a reaction out of you. And you as an adult might see that it doesn't make any sense, but you got to understand their brain is not fully developed like ours. So they can't compute the way that we can and be able to piece things. But even as an adult, that doesn't mean that you're operating at full capacity, because again, the brain is a muscle. And if you haven't used it to that capacity, you know, to be able to break things down and be able to recall on things, then the muscle atrophies. So don't, because I'm an adult, I know. No, you have to be able to apply it and use it. And over time, it builds up. Just like when you're trying to build up muscle in your body and all that, you know? And so what these kids do is, to them, is like, hey, at least when mom or dad is screaming at me, that's the only chance I get for them to look at me in the eyes and see that I exist. And that's a very powerful thing, right? And many us adults don't see that because we're caught up in our own wisdom. You know, you're not going with the flow, you're just caught up in it. You know, you're caught up in the currents of the river and you just striving to stay above it so you don't drown. You know, and our kids notice this, right? So it's not like your ways and actions can only be applied to your self journey and that's it. No, your ways and actions are applied to everything in life, right? We walk different spheres: job, school, mom, dad, cousin, brother, whatever that is. We have all these different spheres that we walk through. And we all know, depending on who it is, we behave a certain way, right? Our ways and actions change depending on the area that we're in. Just like the river is going to take the path of least resistance, not the easiest path. And this is the difference, right? Because a lot of people think that nature is lazy, that the universe is lazy and always picks the easiest path. And that is not true. It is something much more divine than that. You get my drift. It's the most efficient path. And sometimes the easy path is the most efficient. But that's not always the case. And we have to be able to seek the most efficient path for us. right? And sometimes it could be hard for us to express ourselves. One, to self, which is the hardest. Two, to somebody outside of you, and then especially to your kids, to be able to admit that you're wrong as a parent, especially when you're already all amped up with the negative energy, and you scream at them or whatever, and then your kids was like, oh, but this is boom, boom, and it's like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter, go to your room or something, you know what I mean? Instead of just being, I apologize, I was wrong. You don't understand how important that is to your child. And it's all part of the wisdom. It's all part of being born, part of the growth and development that we strive for at all times. Doesn't matter what walk of life you have. We all seek to better ourselves in some way, and want to make sure that you guys are practicing this. This is what I want for you guys, to be able to just look at yourselves and be like, what is it that I need to put into motion about me that I've been suppressing for whatever reason? It might take some time. It might just be something that you just got to do, something that you never thought about. Something as simple as, there was a story I had. I was in a I'm not going to say a training. It was a fatherhood panel. And this fatherhood panel focuses on teaching all the social workers the struggles that we single fathers go through. One example is when you go to parent-teacher night, to get your kid's report card, and you're viewed as you're only there because mom couldn't make it. And it's like, oh, thank you for showing up. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. By the way, mom, so is that, you know what I mean? It's like, no, I'm here because I want to. I want to know where my kid stands education-wise. I want to know why he got this F. What do I need to do to help him get a higher grade, other than, oh, why you gave my son an F? I hope you guys are not that type of parent. Because if your kid got an F, it's probably because they deserved it. Because I remember going to my son's high school, and this teacher gave almost everybody in the class an F. And the majority of the parents were there to question why their kids got an F, not questioning why your kid received that F. You get what I'm saying? So, and I remember, because when I got there, the teacher was just like, oh, this is why. And I was like, no. What did my son not do? What can I do to help him, to help you and ensure that he gets the work done to get that grade up? All right? Not argue with the teacher so you can change the grade. No, that's not how it is. All right, so either way, in this fatherhood panel, we were talking about how Father's Day we get socks and tools and shit, things to do around the house. But Mother's Day, oh, you forget Mother's Day, the world stops. They get all the cool stuff. And then I made the connection, because growing up, I remember those commercials. Tell her you love her again for your 5th anniversary. Buy her the platinum diamond watch. Or tell her you love her again for your 10th anniversary. Get her the necklace, and then the ring, the earrings. And then I said, what's crazy is, you with your spouse for, let's say, 40 years and whatever, and by the time you guys hit 70, whatever, 80 years old, your woman is gonna be all iced out. And then I paused and I said, how about me? I like jewelry too. You guys ever consider getting us something like that too, instead of us always having to get you guys all iced out? And then a woman paused, and realization hit, and she told me, thank you. I never thought about that. I didn't realize that it was to that level. When I get out of here, I'm gonna call my husband and tell him I love him. I appreciate your insight, and I want to say thank you. And this is important because many times we don't express ourselves in a certain way and we just let things be. And throughout the years, these things just become stagnant. And then it becomes repressed. And then trauma. And then you are acting in a negative manner, but you don't know why. Because you let things sit for so long and being piled up and it's all covered and it's sitting there like an itch that you can't get to, and it's like between your knees or something like that, you can't get to it. It's just frustrating, but you don't know why, and you're always grumpy and all this stuff. Right? Because we never use the power of our voice to express ourselves. We didn't put our idea into motion. Right? Because look at motion as something important in life, because in order for you to know that something exists, that something is alive, it has to have motion, vibration. This is why if you was to grab any matter and any atom, let's say, and reduce its vibration or its temperature, because obviously it goes hand in hand, the colder you make something, the less it moves and the less heat it generates. Right? So if you was to get this to absolute zero, as far as we know, it will cease to exist. You know? So if you think about it, the more you're in motion, the better it is, the more you are alive. Everything has a vibration to it. Even things that are just standing still, solids. If you really look at it, things are moving. Even when you draw a straight line with a ruler, if you can grab a microscope and zoom in really close enough to the edge, just like in a knife, you see that it has a whole bunch of jagged edges. This is why knives get blunt, because what happened is that the teeth all of a sudden start looking all like a bad case of teeth. You know what I mean? As it starts going, and then when you do, you file it, and what happens is you file it and it brings the teeth back down. And then it cuts until all of a sudden you start getting this type of stuff and you can't cut anymore. And you got to resharpen it again, putting those teeth back where they need to be. That's all the jagged edges. Back what we were talking about, zigzag zig. Right? Wisdom equality. But today, it's about wisdom. And I want you guys to be able to experience what it's like to be you, to complete a task, a minor goal that leads to a larger goal, an overall goal. You know, the way I'm looking is like this large goal is being supported by pillars of minor goals that you can achieve easily, that's within hand's reach. And then but that one, same thing up, so on and so forth. It just keeps growing, as above, so below. And this is how you achieve greatness, by staying persistent, by staying in constant motion, right? You're not going to drink from a pool of water that's stagnant. It is safer for you to drink from a flowing river than it is from a stagnant pool. Stagnant pool is where you have mosquitoes laying their eggs and so on and so forth. You know, with a flowing river, it's never the same water, right? And there goes that wisdom. You want your wisdom flowing instead of just being stagnant. And that is today's message. And please, if you like the science of living mathematics, please subscribe and press that like button for me. And leave a comment. Give me your thoughts on how you see today's mathematics, what you get out of these builds. Positive feedback. I mean, just feedback overall. Just what you guys think, because it is motivating to hear, because this is something I wanted to do for many years, you know, and people that I consider important to my life have always said, hey, listen, I listen. I just don't say nothing because I don't know what to say. I'm just listening in. It's like, you'll be surprised how many people like to listen to what you have to say. In today's age and time, we need to hear that. And, because I look at it as not just positive affirmation. Hey, we all descendants from kings and queens, because the reality is, no, not all of us descend from kings and queens. The whole world is not built of kings. How can everybody be a king? The king of what? You understand what I'm saying? So I like to give it a realistic approach. So when I say that you are great, I'm not saying it as a positive affirmation. I'm not saying it because it sounds dope or for likes. I'm telling you the truth of how great you are, and I want you to realize that. And you got to put things into motion, so that way you're just not being, and you're leading towards born, the completion, right? And from there on, you keep moving. You should know what to do next after that, right? So with that, I'm gonna say peace, family. And again, please subscribe and smash that like button. Have a wonderful day.